Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Championship Prediction League. Myself and Gab Sutton here with you again this week. And Gab, it was another good weekend for both of us. I got 8 points last week, which I'm delighted with, but a last-minute goal for Portsmouth gave you 8 points as well. So the score's on the doors here. I've got 77 points. You've got 58 points. Ollie had a shocking week, by the way. 2 points from him, down on 54 points. He needs to sort himself out in the new year. And happy New Year if you're watching this on the 1st of Jan. We've got a whole fixture list to get through on the 1st of Jan, starting with Blackburn versus Wrexham, Gab. So I'll throw over to you to start off with this fixture. Let me just explain the rules quickly. 5 points if you predict a game with 5 goals or more in. It's 3 points if you get a correct score, and it's 1 point if you get a correct match result. That's how it works. Get your scores in the comments down below, as always. But Gab, Blackburn, Wrexham. Blackburn, disappointing 0-0 draw. Wrexham, good home win against Preston.
Yeah, a bit of frustration for Blackburn Rovers at failing to win at Sheff Wed. They probably didn't create as much as they were hoping to as well. So a bit of a bounce back required from Valerian Ismail's side as they continue to tread water a little bit just above the bottom 3. Wrexham, you know what? I really like Wrexham. I'm a big fan of Ollie Rathbone, who came off the bench against Preston North End. I like his running and how that sort of complements Nathan Broadhead as it was, or Josh Windass, because he's such a willing runner as well. And they've got Kiefer Moore, who I'm a huge fan of. And yet I'm slightly starting to warm to this Wrexham side. So with that in mind, I'm going to go with the away win. I'm going to go 2-1 to the visitors.
You read my mind there. I think I was also planning on backing Wrexham. Did Wrexham beat Blackburn in the EFL Cup earlier in the season as well at Ewood Park? I think that might ring a bell. Or did they beat Preston? Anyway, I think they've done reasonably well recently. I was interested to see Kiefer Moore was operating. Obviously, he was still the central striker, but he was getting some good wide areas and putting a good cross for the Broadhead header, didn't he, for the opening goal?
Almost the other way round, wasn't it?
Yeah, normally the other way. And then, as you mentioned, Rathbone getting the winner. Yeah, I fancy Wrexham here. I'm still not sure on Blackburn. I think they're doing a reasonable job with the kind of players they have at their disposal. But I'll also back an away win. I think I fancy a Wrexham clean sheet there. So I'm going to go 2-0 Wrexham. Ollie, by the way, we'll give his scores as we go along. He's gone for 2-2, backing Blackburn to get a point there. We should look at Bristol City, Portsmouth, Gab, because my word, what's there to say about that Portsmouth game we saw at the weekend? They look like they've thrown away the 3 points as a late equaliser for Charlton, and then they go up the other end and win it in dramatic fashion. Brilliant 3 points for them, we must add. Travelling to Bristol City, though, a bit of a tough test in this one.
Yeah, really dramatic win, reminiscent, I think, of Pedro Mendes' goal against Manchester City in 2006. So where there's that sort of drama and with a 2-1 home victory in the last minute. And so, yes, Jan Minhuik can certainly take that confidence forward. I think it feels like a big run of results for Simon. I don't know about you, but 8 points from the last 4 games for Portsmouth. That feels really significant for them because we've talked about them having quite a dodgy first third of the campaign. So that recent results has helped. I think Adrian Zegacic coming into the 11 has made a big difference from their point of view. Well, as for Bristol City, a bit of a late heartache for them. They were on the other end of it, weren't they? Losing 2-1 at Millwall through Macaulay Langstaff's goal. I've still been a big fan of Bristol City and the work that they've done this season. I think Anis Mehmeti is going to be a real threat, and he's such a weedy little player who can cause problems in those pockets. And they're a very good out possession side. So with that in mind, I'm a little bit torn with this one. But seeing as Bristol City are the home team, I'm going to go with 1-0 to the Seven-Siders.
You're absolutely right. It was a bit of a scrappy late winner for Langstaff as well. But I'm just finding this one so tough to predict. And when that usually happens, you mentioned Portsmouth unbeaten in 4, and importantly, it's come kind of against teams around them that you expect them to be competitive with. I think it was a massive win for them. Their away form simply has to improve. Still the worst in the league, I think. It certainly was a couple of weeks ago. I think I'm going to back them to get a point here and maintain this little unbeaten run, because I do like Bristol City, and I know they won 2 on the bounce recently before that late defeat, beating Middlesbrough at home, wasn't it? And then West Brom away, 2 good results. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw though and play it very, very safe in Bristol City versus Portsmouth. Ollie's back in Bristol City as well, though. He's gone for a 2-0 home win, which brings us nicely to Charlton versus Coventry. Coventry losing their first home game of the season. Well beaten, I would say, by Ipswich. Ipswich looked like the far superior team and kind of the team we expected to see at the start of the season, Gab, in terms of running away with the league. Still a 10-point gap between Coventry and Ipswich in third, so nothing to get too worried about. But the Sky Blues could do with bouncing back with a win here. Something that's slightly concerning me is that we saw them score so many goals and grab all the headlines at the start of the season. They've only scored 4 goals in their last 5 games now, and Brandon Thompson-Sante is missing and seems to be a big loss. Hadji Wright's not quite clicking up front at the minute. It's a different type of Coventry we're seeing. They're having to grind out results when they can get them, and obviously they lost to Ipswich. Can they do it at Charlton? Because it's always a tough place to go, and Nathan Jones is a tough nut to crack sometimes, Gab.
Yeah, I put Hadji Wright in my team of the season so far when I did one for Sporting Life, and I'm not sure that was the best. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you do get a different perspective from fans, don't you, on individual performances, and maybe as a neutral, you look at those moments that Hadji Wright can produce, and you think, wow, he's having a great season, but actually, if you're closer to the action, even in a really strong individual team, there's a few more question marks than people might assume. So maybe we were right in the first place with Kiefer Moore, weren't we?
We're looking a bit right after the weekend, especially when he put in another good performance, Kiefer Moore. So yeah, yes. I'd have Kiefer Moore ahead of Hadji Wright, for example, in a championship game this season so far.
I think that's fair enough, yeah. So I think when it comes to Coventry City, they're very much relying on that defensive reliability and Carl Rushworth's performances in goal. And I think they'll be quite keen to get to the January window as well, Simon. And so with that in mind, I'm actually going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think Charlton might be able to hold out against Coventry City. They're hoping to stabilise somewhat after a difficult run of form where they'd really slipped down the table. And they've done that to some extent with those 4 points away at Birmingham and the victory at home to Oxford, obviously set back by back-to-back away defeats. But I'm going to back a point for Charlton, which will be a good result for them, I think.
It's a snap for me, Gab. Exactly what I had down to, a 1-1 draw. I think you're bang on with your analysis. Coventry need to get to the window and add some numbers in. We spoke about the lack of squad depth at the start of the season, and Frank Lampard's got this team massively overperforming. I think maybe the defeats against Ipswich, Doug King will look at that and go, right, bit of a reality check. Let's dig deep into the pockets, because you're not going to have a better chance for promotion than where we find ourselves now with half the season gone. So I think it's a big January, but I think a point at Charlton isn't too bad a result given the position Coventry are in. And I think Nathan Jones is just a really tough nut to crack, as I've already said. And Charlton actually did well in the reverse fixture at the CBS Arena and were kind of unfortunate to lose that game. So I like Charlton a lot. I do think they'll stay up this season, even though results recently have gone against them slightly. Derby Middlesbrough up next. We'll come on to talk about Hull in a bit, Gab, but Borough now no wins in 3 under Kim Hellberg, and lost at home to Hull City. Derby losing at Leicester, and we backed Derby, didn't we, in that game against the Foxes? They couldn't quite get the job done. Another tough game. I'd like to see Borough bounce back here, and I think they need 3 points. They're still creating a good number of chances for me, just not quite taking them again. I'd like to see them bounce back. For that reason, I'm going to go early here. I'm going to back a 2-1 away win and back Middlesbrough to get the job done, even though Pride Park's a tough place to go.
Yeah, Derby had a fantastic October and November period, which had people have people wondering whether they could make the playoffs. But if you actually look at recent form, I think Derby County have only won 1 of their last 7 league matches, and that was at Hillsborough, which some would say can be a little bit of a pass anyway. So with that in mind, I'm a little bit concerned about Derby's form and whether they need to sort of supplement their midfield area, because the way they set up with 3 forwards, I imagine that can be a little bit top heavy, and I wonder whether John Eustace might be keen to get to January where he can maybe rejig things slightly, or maybe have 1 or 2 to bring in that would help. I know they had David Odeso, who's currently out. So
can I just jump in, Gab, and say that I've just checked the table, just have a look at Derby. They are the base level par championship team, right? 8 wins, 8 draws, 8 losses, scored 33, conceded 33, 0 goal difference, 32 points. That's Derby County this season, isn't it?
There you have it. Yeah. Although they've been quite streaky, haven't they? They've had really a long bad run at the start of the season, and they had a brilliant run around October and November, and more recently they've had another mild dip, I would say, with a few draws in there. I think, from my point of view, I think Middlesbrough. I'm pretty confident that Kim Hellberg is going to find the right solutions. I think we've seen enough from him in those first few games where he made some really good tweaks and they looked very impressive, but they are without a goal in 3, and that's a bit of a concern. So I think from my point of view, I'll be looking to bring in Sverre Nipan because I do think that he can bring something a little bit different to their attack. So all that to say, I'm going to back Middlesbrough to get a 1-0 victory here.
Yeah, I agree with you, as I've already said. I do think they've done well in terms of chance creation. Still, I'll just get the XG up for the whole game. 1.47 they created to Hull's 0.29, and obviously came out on the wrong side of that. 23 shots in total they had. So pan that out over a season, and they are going to win more games than they lose. I think they'll win this game. Next up, though, Hull City versus Stoke, and Stoke can't buy a win right now, and Hull City, serious promotion contenders, Gab, right in the playoff mix.
I know, it's mad. Well, we'll be having our automatic promotion chats on my podcast at some point, and Hull City have got to be in it. Because other than that, there's you've got Middlesbrough, Ipswich, Coventry, obviously, and Hull are level on points with Ipswich. So if we're including Ipswich in that chat, then by logic, we'd have to include Hull in it as well. I think if Hull made the top 6, I think it would be a wonderful achievement from Sergej Jakirovic's side. We've spoken about them being a really good attacking side, but I think defensively in the last few games we've seen that they can produce that aspect as well. They've achieved 3 clean sheets in their last 5 games, and keeping out Middlesbrough, I think, was a really impressive accomplishment. Yeah, I've been really impressed with. I think it's the likes of Louis Coyle and Regan Slater who are those reliable figures for Hull City that have really come to the fore in recent weeks with the battling qualities that they've brought.
I think also the rotations in the attack, and we saw this a little bit with Coventry earlier in the season, but when a player's out, they've got another player to step up. We saw Ollie McBurney flying. We've seen Joe Gelhardt be in really good form in spells. Now Kyle Joseph's come into the team and is doing quite well. I think they've got a lot about them, and it's just a really good unit, I think. It's really disappointing for their point of view. 4 wins out of their last 5 has obviously taken them on to 41 points. And the game they've dropped points in is against Sheffield Wednesday. Looking at themselves, if they'd have won that game and just got over the line, they'd be level on points with Middlesbrough, Gab. It's remarkable, isn't it? It is remarkable. I'm definitely going to back them to win this game against Stoke, though. Very impressed with them. I'm going to go for a steady 2-0 win. What did you go for again?
So Hull City against Stoke City. I'm going to back. I'm going to go with Hull. I'm going to go with 2-1 to Sergej Jakirovic's side.
Yeah, and Stoke really struggling for wins at the minute. Beat Swansea at home, but it's been their only win in quite a long period. Hopefully Mark Robins can turn it around there, because they showed real glimpses of promise earlier in the season. Ipswich, Oxford, I think we're probably all going to be on the same page as this one. What frustrates me about Ipswich Town, what we've seen this season, is I think they showed against Coventry that they can be the best team in this league, and yet they've not done it on a consistent enough basis, Gab, to be at the top of the league right now. They've still got ground to make up. I would expect them to win this game very, very comfortably. Jack Clark was superb at the CBS Arena, and he's not even a guaranteed starter with Philogene and Wally Egerly on the other side as well. Wes Burns, by the way, coming back from injury. Brilliant to see him back, and not for me, but great to see him on the score sheet from a footballing perspective. So much to like about Ipswich. I think I'm going to play for a bonus point here. I'm going to go for Ipswich 5, Oxford 0.
Ooh, you're going all out, are you?
I am, mate.
Yeah, I agree. I think that left-sided competition between Jack Clark and Jaden Philogene is a real luxury, isn't it, for Ipswich Town to be able to have one of those 2 players who would arguably, I think they'd be starting for anyone else in the Championship. that, to have one of them on the bench, I think is a real treat. And I think, that fits into my argument for Ipswich Town. I think they've been one of the form teams in the Championship pretty much from September. I think that 5-0 victory over Sheff United in the second month of the season felt a pretty significant result for them, because since then they've flown up the table. So I'm going to back Ipswich Town. I'm going to go 3-0 to the Tractor Boys.
Absolutely. Ollie's gone for a 3-0 Ipswich win. He also said Hull 3, Stoke 1, and Derby 1, Borough 1. I realised I didn't read out his scores there. Preston versus Sheffield Wednesday. We never spend too long talking about Sheffield Wednesday on this show usually, Gab, but an impressive point, and we always have to give them credit when they do pick up points, especially at home as well. It's a difficult atmosphere to play under. Travelling to Preston, though, and you'd expect Preston to win this game fairly comfortably, fairly steadily. Do I do something more drastic? No. I'm going to get back Wednesday to put in a reasonably solid performance, but ultimately end up on the losing side again. And I'll go for a 1-0 Preston win, Gab. How do you assess Preston right now?
Tell you what, Simon, I'm a little bit concerned about them from a creativity point of view, because if you look at their last few games, going back to maybe Coventry at home and possibly beyond, then they've always either got an XG of around 1, which has kind of matched up pretty neatly with their actual goal output, or they've it's been a lot lower than 1. And I think they seem to be struggling for creativity, and I think that's epitomised by the fact the goal they did score at Wrexham on Monday literally came from an Alfie Devine moment from outside the box. And I think from Paul Heckingbottom's point of view, he's probably going to want them to create more. They've got fantastic midfield talent in Harrison Armstrong, who I think has actually got a huge amount of potential. They've got Alfie Devine there. They've got Frokja Jensen, who's having who I think we know is capable of with his sort of balletic and creative qualities. They've got Thierry Small, who's an exciting wing back as well. So they have got players who can create, and I think I'd want to see a little bit more from them in that regard moving into the new year. Having said that, again, Sheff Wednesday, I'm not going to back Wednesday to get anything, so I'm going to go 1-0 to the North End.
Excellent stuff. Matching up there. Ollie's gone for a 2-0 Preston win in that one. Up next is QPR versus Norwich. And I was a bit disappointed with QPR at West Brom. I think they only managed one shot on target. I think the goal they scored was an own goal. I think West Brom did pretty well in that game, to be honest. But with all the attacking talent QPR have, just expect more from them. We saw them beat Leicester 4-1, and since then they've got a point at Portsmouth and lost to West Brom. It just feels like they haven't quite kicked on, but they do sit 9th in the table. Norwich beaten at home by a very impressive Watford side. I think the fence is calling me on this one, Gab. I think there could be goals, so I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw at Loftus Road. What about you for QPR Norwich?
Yeah, I think I'm curious to see whether QPR go back to playing 2 up top, because they obviously started Richard Kone as a lone striker last time out. But I think they're much better when they play 2 up top, because Romain Barrel's a real athlete and he's very good at sort of facilitating a strike partner. And maybe Richard Kone misses that a little bit, and especially from the way that they play, which is direct balls to the flank to Poku and Saito, or Dembele and Saito, and then crosses straight into the box. It's helpful to have 2 centre forward presences there for a crossing heavy system, and also from a pressing point of view, they're more aggressive when they do play 2 up top. But I think that is going to happen as well, and I think they are going to occupy Norwich City. I'm kind of fancying QPR at the moment on that basis. So yes, they didn't perform as they were hoping to away at West Brom, with a very low expected goals for and a very favourable one for their hosts. But I think that just emphasises that as a team they're better with 2 up top, and I think that's what they'll move towards for New Year's Day's game against Norwich. And for that reason, I'm going to back the home win. So I'm going to go 2-1 to the Arse.
I think you could be bang on there. We've got Southampton Millwall up next, and you got a close look at Southampton as they drew with Birmingham last time out. It's an interesting one for Millwall. They ended that winless run of 4 or 5 games. I think it might have been 4 games with that late Macaulay Langstaff winner last time out as well. I think I don't know. I don't know about Southampton right now, Gab. I was very excited about Tondreka and the improvement he had, but they're now winless in 4 games. And just like Derby County, won 8, drawn 8, lost 8, bang in mid-table, not what you expect from a relegated parachute payment team. And actually, they're even below Leicester. They're the worst performing parachute payment team right now. Can they bounce back at home against Millwall?
Yeah, I think it shows they definitely missed Leo Scienza in their 1-1 draw with Birmingham. He came on in the last half an hour and made a big difference towards Southampton getting that result. I think it's going to be really interesting to see whether Cienza comes in and makes a difference. But I would possibly back that might be the case. But let's not underestimate Millwall. Yes, they were winless in 4, but that 2-1 victory last time out over Bristol City has put them right back into the top 6 in 5th. I think if this was at the Den, I would possibly look at Millwall making this a really intimidating place and a difficult game for Southampton. Just because it's at St Mary's, I'm gonna side with the host to get back to winning ways. I'm going to go 2-0 to Southampton.
Oh, interesting. That's exactly what Ollie's gone for, a 2-0 Southampton win. I'm going to back a draw. I think I believe in Millwall slightly more than Southampton right now. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw in that one. 3 fixtures to go now of New Year's Day. Swansea versus West Brom. Swansea winning at Oxford and West Brom winning their home game as well. Gab, I'll throw over to you for this one.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to Swansea City, we're certainly talking about an improvement under Vitor Matos. They've won 4 of their last 7 league games since he took charge. 4 of their last 6 actually, but since Matos took charge, it's 4 and 7. And clearly there's an improvement. Clearly what Matos has wanted to implement in terms of out of possession has definitely been done. And I think you're seeing signs of Jan Vipotnik coming into form. I like Melka Vidal. I think there's some potential in him. They've obviously got Galbraith in there as well at right back. He can obviously play in midfield. Yongji Sung, I think, I like the way that he floats in from midfield. So Swansea is starting to look a little bit more like the team that we were sort of hoping for at the start of the season. And so with that in mind, I'm fairly in favour of Swansea against the West Brom side that themselves have been creating chances recently as well. They've definitely shown some positive signs with 2 wins in their last 4 league games, with a victory over Sheff Utd and QPR at home. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Interesting. Swansea 2, West Brom 1 is what Ollie's said. I can't split these two again. I feel so boring going for so many draws, but I think West Brom aerially and from set pieces are always they look quite dangerous against QPR. I think it's a real asset for them. They can get Hegebo into the right areas as well. Swansea very good at home though. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Swansea win. I feel like that's maybe against my better judgment, but Matos has impressed me a lot. Watford versus Birmingham then, Gab. I mean, Watford now breaking into the playoffs, mate. 3 wins in a row under Javi Garcia and a really good win at Norwich. They've won at Norwich, at Leicester and at home to Stoke in the last 3. Also drew at Wrexham, which is no shabby result either. A lot to like about Watford. And I think this will be a real test to where Birmingham are at and their playoff credentials as well.
Yeah, certainly is. I'm so impressed by Nestoroi Aylenkunda. He's a footballer who, for various reasons, has kind of flooded in and out this season, and there's been times where he's been out of the team, and there may be reasons behind that. But for me, I think he's got the potential to be one of the best players in the Championship. I don't think we can say that just yet because he's probably not played enough for us to make that statement. But in terms of what his potential is and what he's capable of, it's up there with anyone. And I mentioned Othmane Mama as well, who I think is a really big talent. They've got Imran Louasa in midfield. So yeah, I think Watford have so much talent in that squad, and I'm hoping that Aylenkunda makes it. John, I would love to see Aylenkunda and Mama in the same squad, because I think there's
and Fatadze, throw him in there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then not even mention Sheff Utd, which shows shows how much there is to watch out for. But it's whether they can get these players into the team while still having that kind of base of reliability. But they're starting to find a formula, under Javi Gracia, and I think a few Watford experts who maybe questioned him on selection earlier in his reign are starting to think maybe I got him wrong. But for me, on the basis of how good Watford are looking in terms of that individual talent, I'm warming to them. So I'm going to go with, I might have to back against my own team, because of our away struggles. I'm going to go with 3-1 to the Hornets.
Interesting. Exactly the same as Ollie as well. I've gone for a 2-1 Watford win in that one. So we're all backing Watford. And you know what that usually means? Birmingham might get a result there because we're rarely all right. And we finish this week with Sheffield United versus Leicester. And I'll say that Ollie, the Sheffield United man himself, has gone for a 2-2 draw here. I don't know. I think Leicester, Gab, I don't know if you agree with me here, are the most difficult team to predict in the entire championship. I don't know where to place them week to week. You don't know what you're going to get with Marty Cifuentes' men. 2 wins out of their last 4 and 2 defeats. Sums it up pretty much, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think with Leicester City, I've got a lot of concerns over them, and I'm finding them a difficult team to throw my weight behind at the moment. And with that in mind, I'm also thinking of siding with Sheffield United here because I'm looking at their upward trajectory. Yes, they've lost a fair few games under Chris Wilder, more than they would have liked, but they've also won a lot as well. And they're starting to climb the table. It's 9 wins in 19 now for the Blades. And they actually are only, dare I say, only 9 points off the playoffs, which at this stage of the season, it's a surmountable gap if Sheffield United can start to replicate the kind of form that they enjoyed last season. So with that in mind, I'm going to back Sheffield United to make it 3 wins in 4. I think they're going to get the result at home to Leicester.
What score have you gone for?
Oh, what score? Oh, yeah, of course. I'm going to go... I'll go 3-2 to Sheffield United.
Oh, he's playing for the bonus points. I love it. I love that. I've gone for a 2-1 Sheffield United win. So we're both backing Sheffield United. Thank you very much, Gab, for joining us. As always, get your score predictions in the comments down below. And if you're at a loose end on New Year's Day, by the way, I'm going to be on a quiz show. ITV1. Time is money. 6 p.m. on New Year's Day it airs. No spoilers coming here, but Gab, get stuck in front of that telly and have a look at me try and answer some quiz questions, mate.
I will do. Yeah, I look forward to that. Hopefully they're all on Coventry City.
I might have won if that had been the case. Never mind. Thank you all for watching. Get your score predictions in the comments down below and like and subscribe as we move towards 1,000 subscribers. We'll see you next time.